Which Chinese factory supplies Louis Vuitton? Let me tell you the secret. Louis Vuitton have many Chinese suppliers, but they don't admit it. 50% of Louis Vuitton bags are made in these two places, Guangzhou City and Dongguan cities. And 90% of Louis Vuitton silk is one.
Girl, y'all need to get sat for this tea because the fashion industry is officially in panic mode, as word on the street is that Louis Vuitton just got slapped with the lawsuit of the century. And if that wasn't enough, their CEO got arrested for allegedly trying to cover up his shady moves. Now, this comes after Louis Vuitton's Chinese manufacturer allegedly exposed them for making all of their products in China. And the so-called fancy European factory was just a fancy front to slap on a label and repackage goods made by the Chinese manufacturers. And y'all, this is a mess. So here's a little backstory. The Chinese manufacturing industry has a notorious reputation for producing cheap knockoffs of luxury goods. So naturally, when people hear something was made in China, there's often a negative assumption about its quality. However, it turns out that one of the best kept secrets in the fashion world is that Chinese companies have also been producing for the biggest fashion brands. For those who may not be aware, the United States and China kicked off what can only be called a full-blown trade war, with the U.S. slapping high tariffs on Chinese goods, and China, of course, firing back with their tariffs. Before the tariff war started, experts predicted that industries like automobiles, mobile phones, and tech companies were going to take a big hit with the hike in tariffs. But it turns out that the luxury fashion world was just as caught in the crossfire as the tech giants. The Chinese manufacturing companies were not ready to take a silent hit because days after the high tariffs kicked in, they launched a full-on campaign to dodge the tariffs by selling directly to the public. And from the looks of things, the luxury fashion brands people have been drooling over were products from China and not from factories in Europe, as they claim. According to the Chinese, they get paid to make the products without the labels. What the fashion brands do is slap their label on it when it leaves China.
Chinese factories are exposing luxury brands.
Made in Italy or made in France. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China.
China makes 80% of
These videos broke the internet, and it didn't take long before people began jumping on the Chinese manufacturer's offer. And let's be real, it wasn't just because Chinese manufacturers were offering the same Louis Vuitton products, but it was because they were doing it for way cheaper and without those fancy designer labels. But here's the thing, you can't blame fans for their reaction, as fashion brands have sold their customers' dreams that their products were carefully crafted in their exclusive European factories. But then just when fans were all over these fashion brands for finessing their customers, things took an even crazier turn when multiple media outlets started reporting that a lawsuit had been filed against Louis Vuitton as they are being accused of fraud. While we haven't been able to get our hands on the court documents, sources in the Department of Justice reveal that the accusers have more than enough evidence to back their claims. Now, here's where things get wild. Our source from the Department of Justice revealed that Louis Vuitton's CEO met with the accusers and their legal team, offering them a payout to settle the case out of court. But the accusers weren't interested in money, as they were focused on getting justice for every customer. So what did Louis Vuitton's CEO allegedly do? He tried to take a not-so-legal route to make the case disappear. Of course, the cops caught wind of it, and he was arrested. The source revealed that he was released on personal recognition, but he would be facing charges for trying to cover up a case. And to make things even crazier, it's rumored that the jury is fast-tracking the lawsuit against his company for a quicker judgment. According to our source, Louis Vuitton is accused of deceiving every customer by falsely advertising that their products were made by the best possible hands in Europe with the best quality of materials. But in reality, the production factories were located in China. The accuser reveals that claims of a production factory in Europe were false, and what Louis Vuitton had in Europe were workspaces which were closer to a warehouse than a factory, where brand labels were added to the products that were imported from China. Now, while Louis Vuitton hasn't officially commented on the lawsuit or the charges their CEO is facing, I can't help but think there might be some truth to these allegations allegations about Chinese manufacturers making their products. Let's not forget, sportswear giants like Nike have also been open about outsourcing their production to Chinese factories for years. So honestly, it wouldn't be all that surprising if Louis Vuitton is doing the same thing. Also, let's keep it a buck. Louis Vuitton are out to make profit. And one of the easiest ways to achieve this is by sourcing for cheap raw materials for the products and cheap labor, both of which China could offer in high volumes. And what Louis Vuitton had to continue doing is paying a few people in their European warehouses or stores to keep adding the brand logos to the products. Also, the outcome of the lawsuit is going to massively affect the fashion industry in the years to come. It is believed that other fashion brands are also gearing up for their lawsuits. According to inside sources, every big fashion brand is guilty of outsourcing their production to Chinese manufacturers to save costs and maximize profit. So if Louis Vuitton is found guilty of fraud and deceiving their customers, the amount of lawsuits these fashion brands are going to face is going to be staggering. Louis Vuitton getting called out by their Chinese manufacturers had fans talking, and they left comments saying, "My father has told us this for over 30 years, as he has been to these factories himself. I kept it to myself growing up because people wouldn't believe me, but I'm so glad it's become public knowledge now. I worked at Louis Vuitton 20 years ago. As a treat, we were given a trip to Paris to their headquarters on the Pont Neuf, and also a visit to the supposed workshops in the provinces. When I returned from my trip, I told my colleagues that the supposed workshops are a Potemkin village. It's absolutely impossible that the quantity of bags produced there is enough to supply our boutique, let alone the thousands of boutiques scattered around the world." A few years later, when I moved up the ranks, I received proof of the bag's origin. It was indeed China. These supposed artisan workshops they promote are exactly what I thought they were during my first visit, a Potemkin village to give the illusion that they're made in France. So, do you think Louis Vuitton products are made in China, or do you think their factories are in Europe, as they claim? Let me know what you think in the comments, then check out this next video.